What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Musi Gaming here, and today we're here with an almost impossible account of Raven Emperor that I would say it is really hard to believe how well managed this account is for a pre-KBK account. That's right, this account has not gone through any KBK whatsoever, and is currently at 3927, which is a kingdom that I do premium content creation for. And I knew he was strong. This Raven Emperor, by the way, those of you who don't know, Raven Emperor is actually R4 at Kingdom 3927. And, just looking at his profile, you can't really tell much. He has 55 million power, but beneath that, oh my god. You guys have to watch this video if you guys ever were interested in getting yourself an account coaching, or like if you guys ever like watch one of my account coaching videos. This is a textbook definition of how well how a perfect account looks like in KBK, pre-KBK series. And that doesn't mean that he's spent like crazy, like I don't know, like those people like Mango, right? No, he didn't spend like Mango. Obviously, he doesn't have like 300 million power, but within the given budget, within the amount of money that he has spent, this account was invested so perfectly that I would say he actually made zero mistakes within this account. So in today's video, we're going to go ahead and take a look at what he has, what Raven Emperor has, as well as provide some guidance based on some of the goals that he has. Obviously, this is a young account, and although so far he has managed this account very perfectly, going to KBK1, KBK2, obviously will actually incur some inefficiency. It's almost inevitable if you want to get yourself some KPs, if you want to grow yourself some commanders, it is almost inevitable, right? So I'll go ahead and provide my suggestions on how he has to go about those, and also at the same time, give some guidance from my past 4 years of playing Rise of Kingdoms, as well as being a rally garrison lead for the past, I don't know, 2 to 3 years. So yeah, without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started with Raven Emperor's account. And just first things first, the profile itself, 55 million power. Like I said, nothing too special, nothing too special looking. From the get go, and 3.4 million kill points. This is fine. They seem to not have gone through too much of internal or civil war. And having no kill points is actually a good thing before KBK1, which I think is really good. And look at that. Slide number 2. He has logged in for only 86 days. And remember that number. This account is only 86 days old by the time that he has actually sent me all those screenshots. And he's at VIP 17, which is an awesome thing for KBK1 or pre-KBK1 account. And for that all damage 5%. Because if you want to be a rally garrison lead, missing that all damage 5% is huge. So the fact that he has that is a big W. And the fact that this account is only 86 days old will surprise you in following slides. Now, in the kingdom 3927, you guys can see that Raven Emperor currently sits at the 5th place, very close to 4th place, which is Georg's. I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly, but yeah. No, it's only followed by the two of the, I think this might be the Queen's account. I'm not too sure, but this is the King's account. And then 2 other people, and then Raven Emperor's right there. So very top level people at 3927. And if everyone, and you guys have seen Rodden's video where he was actually like really stacked, but he didn't actually push up the power. If everyone in Kingdom 3927 looks exactly like Rodden or Raven Emperor in terms of how stacked they are, I'm honestly not worried about our KBK1 or even KBK2 at all. But yeah, he's currently sitting at ranking number 5. I just wanted to kind of showcase this to you at this very moment. And then as you guys can see, he is sitting on 959 gold head. That's right. 959 gold head. As an account that is only 86 days old. Now I didn't even think this was even possible, but I did the math, right? So if you're like what 80 days in, let's say if you reach, I don't know, VIP 14 within the first couple weeks, then 240 gold that is possible. If you buy all the Writers of History package, that's like what 200 something, right? So let's say you get 500 gold tests from those, right? And then you can get those events that actually happens every now and then. Most recent one was obviously the Thanksgiving event that everyone has gone through. And also at the same time, if you do 3 Arc of Osiris League, which he did, that's about like what 70 to 100, depending on that, and then 250 extra. I'm sure he got it from the VIP shop or whatever the case might be. But yeah, 959 gold heads in with 86 days in. That is impossible. And this is going to even surprise you even further when you take a look at his commanders that he has too. And looking into the blueprint fragments that he has, he practically is working on all the sets, right? He's practically working on all the major sets, or even like future kind of KBK sets. You guys can see that the Hellish Wasteland lance is amazing. He has 13 pieces of those, and then 27 of the Hellish Wasteland helmet, and then the chest piece, 11 piece, is really nice. I don't know about this. I'm assuming he got those from the VIP shop. You know how you can purchase in the VIP shop with the gems. Let me just go ahead and show you. Oh, on the in the game itself. Yeah, if you go to VIP shop, you can see that. Yeah, I'm assuming he bought those, right? The random cavalry blueprint fragments, which I would say is usually not really that effective unless you're in a really younger kingdom. And I think he has bought a lot of those, and that's why he has those non-meta setups, because he seems to be in very full aware. He seems to be very fully aware of how a meta set looks like based on what he has built so far. And yeah, that's where it seems to be all those blueprint fragments are coming from. And yeah, he has been working on those, and he has a good amount of each and every one of those blueprints, which is pretty well moved, I would say, but it's still pretty impressive and pretty good for the account at the end of the day. And he already has a couple of the sets already kind of finished, I would say. The 2 pieces of Dragon Breast set, Shadow Legion's Retribution. I'm sure he got it from the Crystal Key or whatever that thing is. Yeah, Lucent Scroll. And then another Lucent Scroll blueprint, and then Eternal Night, which is surprising because you don't really get Eternal Night until you get into KVK 1, as far as I remember. So that's really cool. And then also at the same time, he has as far as what he told me, he has 120 legendary materials saved up in his bank. So he can craft a full, almost a half of a set of legendary like equipment set just right away at this very moment. And as you guys can see, he does wear a good set of infantry setup as well. I'll go over that in a bit when we do take a look at his equipment setup. And he is sitting on 1,100 days of universal speed ups. That is amazing. Oh my god, that is amazing. And then 85 days of healing speed ups, and 64 days of training, 22 days of research, and then 22 days of building. I'm assuming he's almost done with the building and research, so that's no problem. A little low on the training side compared to the healing, but then again, I'm assuming that he has done some training because he's at 54 million. I'm assuming he has one full army of T5 units for infantry. And yeah, 1136 days of speed ups. Really good. And that's especially good because I don't think he's gonna run for the next Zenith Power event. which I'll also advise against. Because the next Zenith Power Band is obviously already announced. That's going to be 20% cavalry defense skin. And from the look of it, this account is an infantry main account. So I don't think he needs to push for it. And I don't think, based on what I've seen so far, I don't think he's the kind of guy that will push for it. If he's on the fence about it, I would advise highly against it. But yeah, if we take that into consideration, this is more than enough that you can go through the KVK1 with, like, even if you are aiming for a really, really high KP at the end of the day. And then he has 8 billion food and wood just sitting in the resources. That's really amazing. And then 7.7 billion stone and 3.4 billion gold sitting as items. Sitting in his currently open bank account. Those are from items. Those are from his current resources, which is really, really good. Now, the reason why I was saying that this account is almost a perfect account, almost the perfect account, is because of this. He has Charles Martel 5545. Almost expertise. 1 skill points away from expertise, while also having 959 goldens, guys. That is insane. I'm assuming that he got the Midas Government event almost the full time that he was at the Kingdom. And yep, I didn't know this was possible, but you can hold on to 959 gold heads while also having Charles Mattel almost expertise before KBK1 even starts. The pre-KBK didn't even start yet. Like the whole events and stuff. Yeah, the modders and stuff didn't even start yet on this kingdom. And yeah, he has Charles Mattel almost expertise, guys. That is insane. And just look at it. The skill distribution is perfect too. 5545. The only one skill that is most commonly kind of like, you know, the one skill that no one wants. Yeah, like he's only missing 1 point on that. Like even right now as is, this looks almost perfect, right? And his equipment, very, very good. And you guys can tell what he's doing from the equipment set that he has right now. He has all the sets that he needs for the legendary outside, except for the Karuak's the pants, which will give you health, which is arguably better in KVK1 than the uncritted, uniconic Eternal Knight. Because in KVK1, infantry don't get that much health from any sources whatsoever. And then having the blue shield critted is also a very, very big W. And you know, he can eventually replace this to the Eternal Empire shield, but yeah, for now, having enough legendary materials and saved up, and then waiting for the blueprint for the show. I believe that's what he's doing. Yeah, he's waiting for the blueprint, as far as I can tell from this account. It's really good. And then once he has that blueprint, if he can replace that, then that will give him the 10% march speed from the 4-piece bonus. Very, very well managed in terms of the equipment setup as well. And then you can craft the Eternal Knight eventually. But you know, until you have that credit, I think this actually, if you can get this piece credit, it might actually allow you to trade better in KVK1, as far as I can tell. So this is an amazing KVK1 set, especially with that crit on the gloves. Oof, this is almost close to perfect. Now, the only thing that you're missing is the fact that you don't have the accessories. If you have the blueprint, let me see if he has a blueprint. Yeah, if you can get yourself Silent Trial, and honestly, I don't think Greatest Glory is gonna be really big help for Charles Martel if you're using him as a garrison. So yeah, if you can get him a pair of accessories, that's the only thing that you're missing. If you can get him a drum, that would be probably the perfect equipment setup for this guy. But I know that it is really, really hard to get your hands on the equipment pieces in KVK1. So yeah, just having silent trial and something else, maybe the epic march speed infantry accessory might actually be the most appropriate seat here until you find yourself a drum. But yes, you guys can tell from this, whatever he has right now on his Charles Battelle, that this guy knows exactly what he's doing. Exactly what he's doing. The ones that he didn't craft are the ones that have health. And it's a stat swap to a worse and more inferior stats, right? So very, very nice setup here. And Minamoto, 4-piece blue cess is nice. It's gonna give you extra march speed, and he did buy the VIP weapon, which is the only thing that I would say is like the small flaw in this account. This one honestly is not really necessary. I mean, it's good to have if you have a lot of money, but for the $100, the lately the consensus has been that this is not worth it as much, because the epic credit piece can do almost just as good of a job as this piece does. So yeah, that's the only kind of downside of this. But this is also fine. Again, he has a lot of legendary materials just sitting on. So and while he's waiting for all the blueprint fragments to basically finish up, I think it is completely fine that he actually currently just hold on to this set right now. And I'll rather personally suggest him not crafting anything in between and then just go straight to the legendary equipment as you get his blueprints, as you get your blueprints kind of finished up. So this is really, really nice. And then he has Pierce 5512, which is really good. I'm assuming that he's getting the dailies for the Pierce. The skill level is really, really good for someone who is not in Midas Governor event. So yeah, Pierce 5512. This kind of opens up to his possibility of utilizing Pierce into KVK2 as well. So very, very nice set. And then 5521, I'm assuming he used some gems for Richard, which is fine. 5511 or 5111 is usually what I recommend for Richard. 5521 is obviously better. So yeah, this is also really good to have, good option to have for a Barbarian in the future. And also at the same time, in the earlier game, if you want to run 3 marches instead of 2, that you mentioned later, you can actually utilize Richard along with something like Sun Tzu to make sure that you can actually have a very, very tanky march on the field. If you combine Richard and Sun Tzu, by the way, Richard does have a massive damage reduction built in, right? Go ahead and infantry. Yeah, Sun Tzu has a 10% damage reduction built into his third skill, and then that combined with Richard's second skill, which will give him extra 15% damage reduction, that 25% damage reduction stacked up together is absolutely going to crush on the field. So yeah, so that's really, really good that we have Richard unlocked. And yeah, 5521 is amazing if you want to run your third march in KMK1. But I don't think that's going to be the case given the direction that he has given me later in the slides. And then he has Tutmos 5111, which is fine. He's not really going to focus on Tutmos, nor that I want him to. And I'll go over a little bit of why that's the case. But 5111 is nice. Can use it for Canyon. But anything beyond that, I wouldn't really recommend investing in Tutmos for this very account. For the reasons that would actually that I'll actually explain in the later part of the video. And yep, so and he has sent me a very well organized short-term, long-term goal as well as the account highlight, which is amazing. Let's go ahead and read every single one of those. All right, here are the photos and the short-term, long-term goals. Account highlights. First account ever, which is hard to believe. First account ever, guys. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like my first account, which is this account, when I was starting off this account, man, I have made so many mistakes, and there was so much inefficiencies that I've caused, that I've suffered from in this account. You guys can see, can you guys see this Supreme Warrior? The very first Zenith the Power event that I've actually encountered when I first started Rise of Kingdoms. You guys can see that it is at 30 days. That's right, I tried running for Zenith the Power event. on my first account, and I have failed. And I failed so much that I don't have the 15-day skin. I have 30-day skin. I spent a lot of money and did not get the legendary the Zenith Power Event skin. But this guy, first account, and looks just perfect. And it is, yeah. It is very, very interesting. But yeah, very good job for a first account, by the way. And never played Rise of Kingdoms before. Everything so far has been from watching YouTube and being on Discord. Very nice. Utilize the community, utilize the resources, just learn about the game before you make major investment of real life money into the game. And he currently plan has been to be an infantry main, which is fine. I could tell. I think everyone could tell so far. And then spend level is currently 1k to 1.5k per month. VIP level 17. Enough gems and flux to comfortably get into VIP 18 if ever needed. And I've seen those flux, so that is very, very true. If he wants to hit VIP 18, yeah, he can hit it like today, tomorrow, and then have 559 gold heads. Amazing. Just amazing. And 120 legendary materials. Yep. Very, very well stocked up. I would say very, very good account so far. Probably one of the most perfect accounts that I've ever seen for KBK1, pre-KBK1. And short-term goal, build my account in the direction to eventually be a competitive Season of Conquest player. I read this and I was like, okay, this is more of a long-term goal. I did move this to a long-term goal in the later slide, just for your reference. I've been building to have one elite march at a time. So this guy is not fooling around. He does not want a march out and then trade negative and just send the mediocre march out and then just trade negative. No, he wants to send out one elite march, complete and ready to go, and then ship it out for march, which is what I would do personally myself too, even no matter how much money that I have when I start the account. So very, very good, good thinking, I would say, rather than just getting 5 on the field. Very, very good. My infantry march is close to full legendary set, which we saw, and I have an okay cap set. Cap set, yes. Cap set, you're still working on your blueprints. I think you're okay with where you're at. You don't really have to use cavalry as you start off the KBK because the first couple fights are basically the ruins fights, right? And when you do a ruin fight, you can only use one march at a time. So not having the cavalry set is completely fine for KBK1. And wait, hold on. And potential to build a few legendary archer pieces too, which is fine. It's almost inevitable that as you go into KBK3, you need a full legendary pieces for Qin Huang, right? Qin Huang YSG is the best march in the game. No matter what happens to infantry in the next month or so, that's not going to change. Like, infantry march could try, but they're not going to be better than Qin Huang YSG, right? And then plan was to build one legendary set at a time for 5 to 7 marches before awakening a special talenting, which is good. And then have been planning infantry plus cavalry 2, infantry and cavalry 2 march setup for KBK1, but you're open to adding archer, which I'm not going to recommend for. I would like to aim for a KP approaching 1 billion in KBK1 if I can. I know that may be too ambitious. For most people, yes. For you, it may not be the case. And I was looking at Charles Mattel YSG, very good, and Minamoto CC. I would say Minamoto and Bybars or CC, right? If you're going against pure cluster and duels, obviously Minamoto CC is going to outperform. If you're going to rally with cavalry, I don't think he's going to, because there's a lot of other people who can rally with cavalry who are going to need to go for the Zenith Power event. So yeah, Minamoto CC. I would say Minamoto Bybars if you're fighting in a ball fight. Minamoto CC if you're chasing down the enemy, basically. But potential use for Pierce, Richard, Tutmo, Sun Tzu, Bybars, which is good. Long term, maintain my position as a rally or garrison lead infantry lead while also having a strong field presence across the troop types. I want to run 5 marches, which is good. Potential for an eventual move to top tier KVK Kingdom. Once my account catches up to Seasonal Conquest, he knows that it's going to take a while, which is really, really good. Okay, so in a couple of years, if 3927, it's an early kingdom, right? And then if he has the whole thing, and then 3927 could very well be one of the top tier KVK kingdoms, like high A seed or Imperium, based on how it looks right now. But yeah, if that's not the case, then he wants to be ready for top tier KVK kingdom level of marches, level of equipment, level of garrison lead setup, which is really, really good. This is gonna take like a couple of years, but very, very nice kind of insight into what his plans are. He's open to any suggestions and directions. I plan to subscribe for a while. That is good. That is good to hear. So long term, in how we can plan and improve the account, that is very, very nice. All right. So, wow, it took 26 minutes for me to get to the initial assessments of of this account. But initial assessment of this account is simple. Have the best Golden and Commander sculptures stacked up and stocked up that I've ever seen, like I've been saying. 959 Goldas and 3 usable marches at day 86 is insane. Now, I'm not talking about equipment, I'm just talking about the commander like skill level setup. So he can use Charge Metal, potentially YSG, Minamoto double C, and then can technically use richer than Purist too. So that's what I mean. Or richer than Purist / Sun Tzu, right? So three usable marches is insane. Honestly, did not know that this was even possible. Yep. And VIP 17 at day 86 is also a big perk. This means that you can rally your garrison without, even against the strongest and the highest whales of KVK 1, right? The minimum requirement for you to actually fight against those whales are you having VIP 17, especially as a garrison lead. That's going to be really, really important. And you have that. That is awesome and amazing. Now, infantry main is really, really nice because it is not only the best troop for field and garrison for KVK 1 and into KVK 2. That's right. Infantry is the best garrison, best field troop type for KVK 1 and KVK 2. There's no better garrison for KVK 1 and KVK 2. There's no better field than I would say CJ and Pierce. I don't know, Pierce and CJ, right? For KVK 2. Field, I guess it could technically be most YSG, but Charles Metal YSG is just right below it, right? So I think it's the best troop type for you to actually go for KVK 1 and KVK 2 combined together, because KVK 2 the archer's power level does fall off a little bit. So yep, infantry main is really, really good, and no need to push for the upcoming Zenith Power event on December, right? He does have 1200 days ish of speed ups if we combine the universal and training, right? But usually the Zeniths do get a little more crazy, and if he has to push for the December Zenith, which is going to be in a couple weeks, he has to spend a lot more money, right? For him to have all the speed ups, for him to push for Zenith, and then also fight in the field for KVK 1, for him to reach the 1 billion kill point goal, right? He doesn't need to do that because he's an infantry main. So that's really, really good. And again, unbelievable amount of materials, 120 and blueprints. Almost all troops legendary blueprints almost complete. Is insane. Now, cons, there's very few cons of this particular account, and the fact that he purchased the Trial of the Lost Kingdom is a little bit of L. It's $100 wasted to a degree, but it does have some good stuff that it does come with it. It's fine. It's okay for KVK 1, but it's a bit of waste of money in the long term too. Again, I have that piece too, right? Let's see. I don't even know where I have it at. Obviously I have the best cavalry weapon setup right now, and then the second best cavalry setup right now. But hidden behind it, my Minamoto is holding on to Trial of the Lost Kingdom. So yeah, I have it. It's fine. It's not really a mistake because just your money that was just not used for the best use of your account. But that's fine. Don't worry about it. We all made that mistake, and it's hardly a mistake because you can still utilize it for KBK1 pretty well, right? And necessity of trading for KBK1, possibly without the Zenith. That's because you're currently sitting at about 56 million power. That might not be enough for you to have. No, 55 million. Okay. That might not be enough for you to have the full with 50% army expansion, 2 marches, as well as enough P5s for reinforcing a rally or reinforcing a garrison, right? So that's like kind of like the only con there. And the fact that Zenith Power event will happen next month or this month, and you might have to push out a little bit of training without Zenith Power event kind of going on. You can still do it. You can still do it to get like the goal test that the Zenith Power event does give you, but you're gonna push up a little bit more than 1 million power for you to get that. So that is the only downside. Those are the only downside, and those are hardly a downside for your account. And the goal is, like I said, short term. I would say the short term goal that you should basically go, target for is 1 billion kill point in KBK1 and release 1 elite march at a time, is what you said. And then also at the same time, currently thinking about running 1 infantry, 1 cavalry for KBK1. YSG Minamoto, YSG Charles Martel, and Minamoto CC is really, really good. So I'll give you a little bit of lineup suggestions for you. And also at the same time, long term, I'll say you said you want to be a competitive seasonal conquest player and then top tier KBK rally garrison setup, which is amazing, right? And just regarding the top tier KBK rally and garrison necessities, things that you need for you to be in a top tier KBK rally and garrison lead. You need full iconic 5 crit equipment, right? And then that involves 2 KBKSS. That is important, right? Because if you're an infantry garrison or rally, this is a little different for archers though. But if you're an infantry rally garrison, having 2 KBKSS are actually really, really important because everyone else, all the other pieces for infantry is really hard to get, really easy to get. For example, the Hope Cloak and then the Eternal Knight. Those are really easy to get because you can simply get them from the Lucian Scroll, right? So you don't have that many more pieces to work on. So a lot of infantry players have easier time completing their entire kit than archers, for example, right? And usually it's 2 KBK sets, Hope Cloak, Ring, Horn, and then each of the following. One set that you can look into is Leadership Passive Boost for the maximum health amount, as well as Sacred Crisp. This one is probably going to give you the most amount of health. But lately, because health has been nerfed a little bit, I heard that the meta has been that the Eternal Knight, Eternal Empire gloves, which is the infantry set gloves and boosts, and Eternal Knight was apparently the latest meta that does perform the best. And that's because of a couple of things. Like I said, the new KBK technology does provide you a little bit more health, so that has shifted the meta a little bit in terms of health is not as important as it used to be. And also at the same time, Gorgo and Tokugawa, those 2 commanders that are most commonly used for infantry garrison, have a lot of health that they gain from the buffs. So given that the leadership hands and boost does give you slightly less stats than Eternal Knight and Eternal Empire boosts and Eternal Knight, because they're leadership equipments and they give you troop health instead of infantry specific health. This set apparently does better with Gorgo Toku. Now, personal opinion, I think the leadership hands and boosts are still better for a couple reasons. For one, because Gorgo Toku is not the only garrison that will be running as an infantry garrison, right? Gorgo Hector a lot of people would actually run that march, run that setup with leadership Panson boost, right? With mixed troop, right? Borgo Hector is a mixed troop garrison, and then as you become a rally garrison lead for a long time, you'll find yourself in a situation where you might have to switch back and forth between infantry garrison, pure infantry garrison, and leadership garrison, right? So that's why I think this setup is a little bit more versatile and is a little better for infantry garrisons, in my opinion. But technically speaking, this one is actually the best performing for Gorogotoku with pure infantry, apparently. So I would say it's up to you, but I would personally prefer this set over this set, but it is up to you on which one you choose. Again, this was perfect for if you're running one troop garrison, and then this was perfect if you want to go back and forth. And the difference is actually just minimal, 1%, 1.5% overall difference between those two sets. And yeah, just choose whatever you actually prefer. Armament set with special inscriptions and rare inscriptions. I would say just a couple of tips for that. I'll go over this when we get to the armaments themselves, but armaments set with special inscriptions and rare inscriptions are crucial in top tier rally or garrison setup. Like, you guys see my setup.
Might maketh righteous.
You need something like this if you want to be in a high A or Imperium rally garrison. Obviously not as good as mine, because I have one of the best cavalry rally setup in the game. But yeah, you need something like that. Even if you go to, like, let's just go ahead and move to my, even if your set look kind of like this, then this is actually more acceptable. But then again, with more stats, obviously this is my second set for cavalry. This is probably where you can actually start thinking about rallying and garrisoning beyond KVK 4, I would say, in high B to low A or higher, right? So that's basically what you need. You need a lot of good armaments and special inscriptions and rare inscriptions. And the only thing that I would say is that the number one tip for that is that you set the pity for instrument and emblem only, as you can feel the scroll and the banner set from all target and courier station. What I mean by that is, this one right here, wish list. Just make sure all of your wish list is on instrument, which is this piece right here, the second slot, and then this piece, because you can always get the scroll from Autark. Even in KVK 2, you can win the Autark testimony from KVK 2 and get yourself a special inscription for the second slot, for the first slot, which is the scroll. And then the banner, you can always get the special inscription for this. I have one prepared. If you go to courier station, if you sell enough legendary armaments, you can get yourself like 8 of those, and then that will actually give you a legendary inscription that you can inscribe into any armaments. That will give you special inscriptions here. Those will actually help you get those legendary inscriptions. So technically speaking, you're gonna get the other two for free. Not for free, but just as long as you play the game long enough, right? So that your priority should be the instrument and emblem. And I will say for infantry, instrument is the best first wish list, because if you look at the codex, let's see, where's Pincer at? Pincer, you see that Demolisher here is the best special inscription in Rise of Kingdoms so far. Obviously this could change when they do release another Smite formation, but so far this is the best special inscription that you have in the game. And usually the instruments special inscription for the later the generation 2 of the formations that were released, like Delta formation and Pincer formation, yeah, the instrument actually has one of the best kind of like inscriptions for each of those formations. So I would say just go ahead and pull set your wish list up for all of your armaments that you're pulling from on this on the instrument slot, and then kind of once you have that finished, move away from that and then go ahead and start getting the wish list on the emblem, because I think it actually also protects you from getting, scroll or banner ones from by accident as well, because the next legendary special inscriptions that you get from this is going to be always instrument or emblem, if you set whatever you set your wish list at. So this kind of protects you, and this is very, very crucial. So I just wanted to kind of emphasize that a little more. And top tier KVK garrison and rally necessities actually does not stop there. Obviously, having strong Zenith of Power skins are important. The current schedule that we have seen throughout the year of 2025 was simple. March we had the infantry 20%. June we had 20% archer, and then we went into troop attack 16% for September, and then December we're back to cavalry 20% defense, right? So if you put that on a spreadsheet, you can see that 20% infantry, 20% archer, and then all troop 16% kind of concluded the one cycle of attack, and then now we go into defense cycle. So cavalry defense is actually happening in December of this year, in a month, or within the next month. And then assuming that if Rise of Kingdoms actually continue their Zenith of Power release cycle that they have done so far, in the next 3 months, we're going to get infantry defense 20%, which is going to be March of 2026. Now, you can technically get this, but within the next 6 months, you're going to get 16% all troop defense, which is going to be really, really good, I would say. And then within the 6 months from that, you can expect, actually, in a year and 3 months, 20% infantry health skin. Now, I personally would suggest that you wait until March of 2027. But if you cannot wait, 20% infantry defense is fine. If you want to be more flexible with that, you can also get the 16% all troop defense as well. Either of those the power state skins will be amazing for you to actually have. And then if you can wait another year and 3 months, you can technically aim for the 20% infantry health. I have 15% cavalry health skin that I've used since, I believe, 2023. Yeah, this one, if you look at the special 2023 anniversary series skin, right? And I got this permanently unlocked, and 15% cavalry health has been the best cavalry city skin until the next city skin, Zenith of Power city skin for cavalry actually released, which is 20% defense, right? Until the defense actually releases, this was the best one. So I have used this city skin as the best cavalry city skin for, at the very least, 2 years, 2 years and a half. So yeah, if you can get your hands on the 20% infantry health city skin, I will say that might actually last you quite a long time, because it's really, really hard to beat a cavalry health skin, infantry health skin. And then even if they release 25% infantry attack, 25% infantry defense over the course of 2 years and whatnot, I think 20% infantry health skin will still be the best city skin until they come back to 25% infantry health. So yeah, I would say if you can have a little bit of patience, wait for the 20% infantry health skin. If you want to get something really, really quickly, 20% infantry defense is fine for you to have, which is going to be happening in 3 months. So make your choice. But personally, my suggestion as a account coach who cares a lot about efficiencies and efficiencies only, I would say waiting a year and 3 months is not really a bad deal for most players. You can always get the 10% or 5% skill damage skin from the first couple KVKs, and by the time that you actually reach Season of Conquest is probably when you'll probably see news about this 20% infantry health skin, I will believe. So yeah, I'll say if you can have the patience, go ahead and wait for that. If not, then you can go for the infantry 20% infantry defense skin. You know, it's gonna be the best city skin that you're gonna have for a bit. So the new Zenithar skin at the very least. So yeah, it's up to you in terms of which one you choose. But again, my recommendation is that you wait until 20% infantry health skin so that you can have the best city skin until for the next 2.5 years or so, right? And then VIP 19 is also really good. Not as much of a priority because it is a 5% attack, you know, compared to Zenith of Power skin, which will give you 15% extra health. And you know, the VIP 17, which will give you 5% all damage. And having best armor and best equipment. It's not comparable to those things. Obviously, I'm also not VIP 18, VIP 19. I'm still VIP 18. I'm not in a rush for that. You know, I still do perform as well as I could with just VIP 18 as well with my equipment and my armor setup. So I'll say VIP 18 out of 19 is not as big of a priority, but something that you can potentially consider in the future. Now, moving on to Commander Comps. Commander Comps with Charles Mattel, Almost Expertise, and Minamoto, CC Expertise. So Minamoto and Double C is expertise for him. Charles Mattel is 5545, as I showed you before, right? There are two routes that I can suggest. Option number one is invest in Pearson CJ for KBK2. You already have a lot of gold heads. And this would actually allow you to run Charles Mattel YSG and Minamoto CC or Minamoto Bybars as I've suggested before for KBK1, and as you were thinking about before, and then you can kind of move your main infantry set to Pierce and CJ in KBK2, because Pierce and CJ does perform the best in KBK2 in almost any scenario, as far as what I know. I think they're the best rally setup. Also, at the same time, they are really good on the field as well, because they're the only they're the only march that can really fully utilize, not fully, 80% utilize the smite damage that you can utilize starting from KVK2. So if you start building your pincer formation, obviously pure CJ will give you the most value at the end of the day. Now, pro of this, you can utilize the smite armaments early and then have the best KVK2 march. Con is that you could also use some gold that you have and could lead to gold inefficiencies that could hurt you a little bit as you enter KVK 3 and 4, right? So there's a little bit of cons there of gold heads inefficiencies, but you know, you'll still get to actually, you know, play Pierce and CJ into KVK 1 and 2, and KVK 2, now KVK 1, KVK 2. So that will be really good. And given the fact that you're already working on Pierce, if you can actually, you know, buy the dailies until KVK 2 starts, you'll be able to expertise Pierce right away. So you just need to kind of invest in Chuk Jun-gyung, CJ. So that's not really a lot. Obviously, you will have to invest some gold heads into YSG, but it's not really a lot given the amount of gold heads that you were able to get for this account so far. So it's up to you, but that's something that you can kind of look into eventually. That's option number one. And option number two is ignore KBK2 Smite Call and save gold heads and money for Season of Conquest. In such case, you don't even need to buy the dailies for Pierce anymore. And also at the same time, you can save up a lot of gold heads as you enter KBK 3, right? You can use Charles Mattel YSG and Minamoto Double C or Bybars for KBK 1 and KBK 2. And save a lot of gold heads and daily purchases, right? Daily purchases would come in really hot as you enter Season of Conquest 2. So, you know, it's $3 every day. I know that it may not sound a lot, but you know, those things you saved up could potentially be used as you enter KBK 3, which is just one KBK, right, that you're missing out. But there's a potential for KP loss for KBK 2, obviously. You will not be able to rally with CJ, pure CJ. and also at the same time, a lot of KP that you could have farmed in KPK 2 could be lost. So it's really up to you on which route that you go. I think both routes are very good options. The option number 1 is really great for, you know, making sure that you establish yourself as the rally or garrison lead throughout the kingdom, as well as kind of, you know, earning the KPs. Whereas option number 2 is for you to basically save up for the future, right? You know, KPK 2 is really important, but it is at the end of the day, as you play the game for years and years and years, it is one KVK that will pass by like many others, right? So if you can save up a little bit more gold tests here, then obviously you can kind of, you know, shine a little more as you enter Season of Conquest, because you have enough gold tests for you to kind of basically instant max Gorgo and Toku, or Gorgo and whatever combo, or like even Skippy Amilanis and the new infantry rally stuff that will become available for you as you enter KVK 3 and 4, right? So both of them has good and pros and cons. I think it's really up to you how you want to manage your resources. Personally, I put option number 1 as option number 1 because I think option number 1 is a little bit more important, and given the fact that you have a lot of spending power as well as a kingdom support for you to get those Pierce and CJ up to expertise. I think option number 1 will not be too much of a waste as it is for other people. So yeah, again, a choice is up to you, but those are the 2 options that I recommend for your commander's comps. And those are just a little bit of visualization on how those commander comps would look like. For option number 1, you run CM, YSG, and Minamoto and buy bars for the field, as well as Minamoto CC for smaller fights. And then KVK 2, you add Pierce and CJ, change nothing from those. You can run 2 infantry marches, one cavalry march, which is fine. And then as you enter KVK 3, you can swap Pierce and CC into I would not actually swap out Charles Martel just in case, because Charles Martel does tend to often work as a rally or garrison lead even into Season of Conquest with the triple buff that you get from the museum buff, as well as the 30% counterattack damage does play a big role when you play KVKs like KVKs that have auxiliary skills, right? So if possible, I would say double C and Pierce will be your kind of, you know, 2 swap choices, and then I'll swap them to Qinshi so you can run Qinshi YSG, and then another commander for infantry. That is right now it will be Bai Chi, but whatever the commander that comes out in the next month or so, and you'll find this out, so you don't have to worry about this right now, might actually be the more priority than Bai Chi. In such case, you have to invest in Bai Chi. You have to invest in that commander, and then Bai Chi, right? I'll just go ahead and use gold test for Bai Chi for that, and then from there onward, this is where it gets a little tricky, and this is why I did suggest option number 2. But there's a lot of commanders that you need to max, right? If you want to utilize your utilize your cavalry setup, you have to invest in Arthur, Achilles. Although I would say that's actually a later priority for you. But look at how many commanders that you need to invest in for garrison, right? You know, Gorgo and Toku and Scipio Emilianus and whatever the new rally setup is. So next month we'll find out which commander would actually be added to infantry rally setup and how good he is. If he's that amazing, maybe you might have to work on Scipio Emilianus and the next commander first, which is going to be a lot of gold tests, even if the kingdom does support you, right? And then if you run again, cavalry, that's another 1400 gold test. So that's why I said yeah, saving a gold test might be worthwhile into KBK 3 onward. But right now, yeah, if you're trading in Qin Shi Huang and whatever other commander it is, one of the field commander, either that's Bai Chi or Liu Che or the new KBK commander, new infantry commander, you have to swap out, use another swap on those, and then you can basically gold head the other commander for you to have full infantry march, full archer march, and then find out which garrison or rally setup that you want to use for that for the kingdom. So yeah, it's really complicated, but because how efficient you have been and because how stacked you are so far, I think this option is possible. Even if you're considering becoming a rally garrison. So this is really good. Also, at the same time, there are some dailies that you can actually purchase the Gorga and Tokugawa from nowadays. So if you're looking into garrison stuff, if you need to focus on rally, you can slowly build those commanders up also. And also at the same time, KVK 3 is not really that competitive in terms of rally garrison stuff. So just come back next month. You said that you actually subscribe to this more than 1 month, and we'll go ahead and take a look at what the new infantry release is going to look like, and then we'll go ahead and talk about what might be the best kind of course of action that you can take into KVK 3. Obviously, next month you will still be in KVK 1 or in pre-KVK 2, so you don't have to worry about it. Let's talk about this next month. And command options number 2, this is different, right? You just need to run the same thing, Charles Mattel YSG and then Minamoto buy bars, or Cal for KVK 1, but KVK 2, you don't touch anything else. Use Charles Mattel YSG for garrison, and use one other march for infantry, and you still run the 2 march. You're going to suffer a little bit in terms of KP because you don't have Pierce and CJ, but then you'll be saving up so many gold tests that you might be able to actually get not only the Baichi Luce and Chinchuan YSG, but also at the same time garrison and rally all set up and ready to go, right? So this might be the option that you might look into just because you want to rally in garrison for the kingdom. And although I usually don't recommend people become rally garrison leads, for most people, people like you with this much efficiency within the account, I would say it is possible. So that's why I'm giving you this as an option number 2. In terms of equipment for cavalry, this is basically the basic setup kind of upgrades that you can make. You know, you obviously have something closer to this, and then you can kind of move on to the epic setup, and then into KVK 1 and 2, non-seasonal conquest KVKs. You can actually build this setup right here without the KVK weapons and helmets and accessories. You know, the drum is really nice. Silent Trial is really nice, especially for cavalry, because you can potentially use a proc drum a lot better with Delta set. Obviously, with you more focused on infantry, that's not going to be an easy choice. But yeah, if you do have even the rare inscription for cavalry, that might actually be a thing, right? And this is a full setup that I would suggest that you actually eventually build towards. I would say though, I'll give you a little bit of guidance on what I think you should build, in order which that you should be building on. So, equipment for archers, you know, this is how it looks like. Not really the top priority for you, but blue and green set, and then full purple set. I think this is more than good enough for KVK 1 and KVK 2 if you want to add on archer, but I don't think that's really your style. So I just leave that up for there. You're already working on this set right here. If you can get yourself get your archers the skill damage pendant, that's also good. And also at the same time, drum is really good for archers. If you're running Chinchuan and NYC eventually, because you don't really need horn. Horn is really good for Chinchuan YSG, but you know, for Chinchuan YSG, it's more towards like the amount of rage that you consume. So you don't need the full rage generation from horn, but instead if you're using drum, then it will kind of help you and the other marches around you to generate more rage. So that's really good, in my opinion. The other option that you can look into is the skill damage and the ring as you enter Season of Conquest, but that's when you enter Season of Conquest, so that's different. And then the skill damage accessory and the march speed of flag, which is what I use. I use ring and flag for my Chinchuan. So this could also be a very good starting point setup. So you can kind of start off your archer march with, and then leave it out for a while until you're done with all your infantry setup. But that's what I would suggest. And then as you enter Season of Conquest, right now 4-2 setup is the best setup for archers. You can see that the ring and horn, and then the 2 KPK pieces are, and then the 4 piece of dragon breast setup is the best setup for archers right now. You guys can see that. You can also see that the pendant for skill damage is also here. That could be actually in place of the horn. If you want the best setup for Qinxihuang YSG and Qinxihuang YSG only, but if you want to look into rally and garrison set, ring and horn is still the best, and this is how it looks like. For infantry, there's a lot of setups that I actually set up here. You can skip the epic ones because you already have something better. But this is the budget set that I will call usually before you enter the full legendary setup. Again, the drum is really, really good. Drum is probably the best piece of equipment that you can craft in pre-KVK, pre-season of conquest, before you get your hands on ring and horn. So drum, and also at the same time, if you're not running your main march with ring and horn, then you know, your secondary marches can also buff your main marches with drum and horn. And this is technical best for your KVK 1 and 2 setup with Greatest Glory and drum, along with whatever you have on top of Eternal Night, and then the Eternal Empire show. And then right now, the field meta looks something like this. I know this is weird, but KVK helmet and weapon with 4-piece Eternal Night set up for 10% extra march speed, as well as the horn and ring is the best field meta. This is really hard to recommend though for the first couple of setup, because rally and garrison setup does look a lot different, right? Again, like I said, this is current best, and then the health build is also available, especially if you're thinking about rallying and garrisoning with mixed troops, right? If you want to look into building Gorgo Hector, this actually could be the best, because it gives you troop health instead of infantry health, infantry attack and defense like other pieces do, and then smaller stats of other troops, right? So this could be more of a leadership set rather than the current Gorgo Toku best right now. And this is what I will suggest you in terms of your best equipment setup. You know, obviously if you're going into main infantry set, you should build towards either of those, right? But then again, you should also build a second infantry set that does not use a KVK weapon and helmet. The reason for this is because, and potentially into leadership pants and boots too, because for one, you can get your hands on the Eternal Night very, very easily. Sacred Grist, the same thing. And then also at the same time, Hope Cloak, you can get your hands on Hope Cloak a lot easier than, you know, things like Cavalry's Hellish Wasteland chest piece. So yeah, you can get your hands on those a lot easier than other troop types. You can actually start from this, like you're working on right now. Your equipment setup looks something like this right now. You can actually start working on this, but as you kind of craft KVK weapon and helmet, and as you craft leadership pants and boots, you can slowly swap between those two setups so that your infantry, rally, or garrison setup always has something very close to either of those setups, while your second infantry setup does not have the overlapping helmet and weapon, and potentially into boots and pants as well. So that's what I suggest that you craft as a second infantry set. And then when you enter third infantry set, after you max out your infantry, rally, and garrison setup, after you max out your KPK weapon and helmet credit, which is going to be like, what, 3 years from now, 2 years from now? It's going to take a long time, right? Only after that, I would say that you should look into this piece right here. Because although it is currently the best, like, you would have to focus on those blueprints first, right? You have to focus on getting 6, 7, 8 pieces of Hope Cloak if you get unlucky, to finish Iconic 5 credit of main infantry set, right? And yeah, like you will not have time for ring and horn crafting if you're critting an Iconic 5 and ring and horn for your main set for the next 2 years. Trust me, I've done that. Yeah, it took me 2 years for me to complete this after I entered Season of Conquest. You're in pre-KVK, right? So yeah, it's going to take a long time. So don't worry about even this setup right now. And then the meta might even change by the time that we get there. But I would say focus on those two setups, because those two would actually allow you to swap back and forth for the best infantry rallying garrison setup on top of having another infantry march in the field. And then for first cavalry set that you make, I would suggest this setup right here. This is pre-seasonal conquest best setup, which has the Hellish Wasteland helmet, weapon, chest piece, boost, and National Dawn and Navarre's control. This gives you the best stats, and with the exception of KVK weapon and helmet that you're missing. And also at the same time, if you want to make a Delta set, you can technically swap out the ring with drum. I know that you might think I'm crazy for not swapping this out with horn, but I think rage generation from horn is still very, very important for cavalry, even if it's not your main troop. So I would say the technical best is having the drum in place of ring, but you can replace it anywhere you want. But with the Delta setup, with combo hitting many marches, this would actually allow you to proc the drum a lot better, so that you can buff up your entire ball better. And then first archer set that I'll suggest that you craft is actually this, which is the full Qin Shi Huang set with full Dragon Breath set with ring and pendant. The reason why I don't suggest that you craft KVK weapon and helmet for the first cavalry and archer set is simple. Is because you will need to save up your KVK coins for your main rallying garrison setup. For your main rallying garrisons, helmet and weapon, and those two only. You are not wasting any KVK coins unless you're buying on Autarch Testimonies special inscription from the shop. These two should be what your focus should be until you complete your complete KVK set. So yeah, that's why I suggest that non-KVK pieces setup, although they're a little bit inferior for your first cavalry and first archer crafts. Now, once you're done with those, then you can look into crafting a second cavalry set and second archer set with KVK setup that would give you the technical best setup. Again, the same deal, same equipment, except for the fact that they have KVK weapon and KVK helmet for those two pieces. And then once you're done with those, you can look into 7th March with leadership or siege, depending on the meta. Don't worry about it. You're going to get there in 3 years. So this will come in 3 years. Don't worry about it too much. Come back next month. Come back in a year. I don't know. You don't have to worry about this right now. And in terms of armament, when you enter KVK 2, you get 1 smite formation, 1 combo formation, and then 1 skill damage formation set on the dispatch for your game. This is what I mean. If you enter KVK 2, you will enter a state form, which is the new building that will allow you to farm armaments from. Make sure your Traveler's Tail is for 1 combo damage formation, which is for me is Delta, and then 1 smite damage formation, which is for me pincer, and then 1 wedge formation, which is 1 skill damage formation, which is going to be a wedge for me right now. Again, by the time that you enter KVK 2, this might change. They might release another skill damage formation. They might release another smite damage formation. They might release another combo damage formation. If that's the case, this could change. But for now, these are the 3 that you should be running. And, dispatch and trample based on those guys. And then you get basically all the troops, all the setup that you need. And for the chests you get from the courier station and from the package purchases, I'll just say go ahead and open them for pincer for now. If they release another pincer, obviously go ahead and focus on that. And if you're doing events like that, just make sure you focus on the one that is closest to hitting the maximum for the wish list. That's because it takes 150 or something, some crazy amount of armors that you need, legendary armors that you need to pull for the same role for you to get through 1 rare guarantee from the wish list. So yeah, what my suggestion is that you should just try to make sure that you focus on the formations that actually is closest to the wish list, and then just go ahead and convert those to whatever armaments and formations that you need, right? For example, if I want to do this to pincer, then obviously do this. I don't know why I would ever do that because this is a cavalry setup, but you guys know, you know what. So that's basically what I would suggest to you. And then again, set your wish list on instrument first, then emblem for all formations, and get the instrument emblem for special inscription, even if you get one by accident. And this is exactly how I have it set up. You guys can see that my Delta formation is on the instrument. My Wedge formation might be on the instrument too. Yeah. My Wedge formation might be on the instrument. My R should be on instrument too, I believe. Yeah. And then, yeah. Like, even for, like, useless ones, like... let's see. Even for useless ones, like engineering stuff, just make sure that you have it set up for instrument, because you never know. You never know. You might actually pull for, you know, V formation, and by accident, you actually pull the instruments. You pull the legendary inscription, and then you don't want them to be a scroll or banner, because those could be always gathered, and then you can always convert those. You can always convert those into a formation of your choice. For example, if you want yourself to get this move to pincer, you can always do that, right? So again, just to eliminate all possibilities, just make sure that you do have everything set up for instrument is my recommendation. All right, that's pretty much it for everything that I have for you today. Raven Emperor, I hope you actually found this video helpful. And man, that was an hour and 11 minutes of me straight talking to myself in front of the mic. But I hope this was really, really helpful. You know, it took me a while for me to kind of make this entire PowerPoint setup. You know, it took me like 3 hours, 2 hours, because I was watching YouTube and doing it. I was slacking off a little bit. But, you know, on top of me, an hour of recording, it took me a long time. But this was really, really fun. And again, this is probably the most stacked and most fun that I had in a long time in terms of making a account coaching video. I'm super, super excited to see your account's progress throughout the course of next KVK, as well as throughout while you're playing Rise of Kingdoms, man. Yeah, I am genuinely very, very impressed with your account. Like I told you in the Discord too. Hope you guys actually enjoyed today's video. If you guys did, please go ahead and drop me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, guys. And as always, I'm gonna see you all in the next video, guys. Peace.